I made mistake after mistake after mistake for the past 12 months, but I still did 100K in my first year of this business. Now, I'm not going to sit here like every other guru on the internet and tell you you're going to make 7 figures in 3 weeks using Go High Level, because I haven't. However, I live in a nice house. I get to walk my dogs wherever I like. I have good clients. I get to go on nice trips. I just got back from Japan. Because business for me is about freedom and not essentially a dollar amount. But I'm going to save you hundreds and hundreds of wasted hours with what I'm going to tell you in the next couple of minutes. So here's the 3 biggest mistakes I made in my agency, but still helped me get to $100,000 in my first year. It's actually more than $100,000, but it's just a good number to round to. Mistake number 1 is charge more than what you think. In the past year, I would only work with 10 to 15 people at any one time, sometimes even less. What this meant is I got to spend a lot of time with those businesses and get to know them and the business owner really intimately. But this business model sucks until you kind of realize what I'm gonna say. I would spend hours talking to my client, understanding their needs, understanding their wants, their desires, and how their business actually runs. I would pick apart their business, find the inefficiencies, and plug it with automation or process rather than just hiring someone, for example. However, this issue would happen where I would spend so much time with one client, I would start to think about, are they paying me enough for this level of detail? And it's true, they didn't pay me for the time I was putting in. They were actually paying me for the results that I was producing. And in the beginning, my results weren't the best. This took me hours upon hours to actually understand. Not just hear it, but also understand. And one day, it just simply clicked. What I actually charged my clients isn't an hourly basis. It's not how long it takes me to implement an automation. It's the value that I create with that automation. For example, I have a client who wanted to start getting leads from YouTube. So I went through, duplicated the systems that we had for Meta already, created all the systems to reflect a YouTube funnel, built the new Zapier integrations, built the pipelines in GHL, everything. Now that only really took me an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. But when his lowest ticket price is $45,000, this workflow is going to make him a lot more money than someone whose highest ticket is $1,000. There is more risk on the workflow that I create, and I need to make sure that it doesn't break, because when that goes down, it starts to cost a significant amount of money in lost leads, revenue, etc. So it's justifiable for me to charge him a lot more, even though it would have been the same solution for someone who was only making $1,000 per clip. And quite frankly, if that only takes me an hour and 15 minutes, he's more excited about that because he can start running traffic to it quicker and start making money faster. The correlation between time it takes to do something and quality of work doesn't always match up, especially in this case when you're in the automation business, where things should be repeatable and they should be scalable. And if it takes you longer to do something, then you may need to look at the inefficiencies in your own business. When I implemented this way of thinking, or kind of adapted this way of thinking, I realized I wasn't just trading time for money anymore. I was actually trading value for money. And that for me became a lot more scalable because I could look for higher end clients and charge them more. So my once business model where I only worked with a certain amount of people and I was limited to how much I could kind of make, I could just start looking to solve problems of people whose ticket price are $45,000, $100,000, $1 million, whatever it might be, and I can charge them more because of it. Just a nice little tidbit here, if you're doing sales and you result to saying, but think of the value this could bring you, that actually just means you haven't done a good enough job explaining the actual outcomes that your work is going to produce. So maybe you should answer a couple more questions that they have. Just food for thought. Mistake number 2 is an age-old saying that I've heard many, many times, but I want to share my experience on it because it's super important. It's hire slow and fire incredibly fast. If you've heard this before, it's worth your weight in gold and should be repeated often, because you don't learn this lesson until you actually learn this lesson. In the automation space, it's incredibly hard to hire. Now, everyone's going to say my industry is hard to hire. Yes, I agree. It's probably true. Automation is just mine. But automation requires people to think big picture and small picture at the same time. Usually people are good at doing one at a time, so thinking big picture or thinking small picture, and most people have a tendency to either think big picture or small picture. This requires both. Now, not to blow my own horn, but there's a reason I got to where I am. It's because I can do this. I can think big picture and I can think small picture. I can easily understand a vision of a client, right? So if someone tells me they have this idea that they want to accomplish using tech, I can usually piece together the platforms, how I'm going to build it, and what resources I kind of need in order for it to run. And one of my biggest blunders this year is expecting other people to do that with the kind of cadence that I can do it. Now, I hired a virtual assistant from the Philippines who had on her resume 3 years of automation building experience. And I thought, fantastic, someone who has been in the trenches, they understand big picture, small picture. So I got her on a Zoom call, we had a chat about her resume, and she explained her experience, and she was able to talk the talk quite well. Granted, I probably didn't go deep enough on the interviewing process and just took her at her word, and so I just brought her on, and she fooled me good. I put her through onboarding, I gave her a project, I got her everything she needed to get going, and I gave her the space because I wanted to be a good boss who didn't micromanage, all that kind of stuff. Gave her 3 to 4 weeks for a project that was for a client. And at the end of the 3 to 4 weeks, I followed up with her and I was like, pretty much, hey, like, I'd spoken to her beforehand, but I was like, hey, like, where's the status of the project at? And to which she responded to me saying that she spent the last 3 to 4 weeks learning the platform. And I was beside myself. As it turns out, she didn't have the experience that she said she did. And she'd been faking it till she made it, which is apparently fine when I do it, but when other people do it to me, I kind of understand why it's not always the best way to go about things. Because if you give off the impression that you can do something and then you don't fulfill, it's such a big letdown. So just quickly, I chose to pay her double the going rate for someone in this role because I thought if I pay, I will get loyalty back. Now that is true to some case, but I went wrong. This exercise ended up costing me thousands of dollars in what I paid her, and also thousands of dollars in my time wasted. So when you're looking to hire someone, take your time to vet them properly. Ask them specific questions about the role, give them scenarios and problems to solve, and 1000% speak to their references. And if they don't have them, then that should be a bit of a red flag. Now, I've always been a very impulsive person. In this case, I acted quickly, let her go, and moved on. So in this situation, I hired fast and I fired fast. Mistake number 3 is clearly define your scope of work. At the end of every day, I discuss with my fiancée Emily what we got up to during the day. Even though most of the time we sit side by side, we discuss the intricacies of our day. I would always explain to her what work I did, and she knows, because she has a very keen ear, exactly when I start talking about things that are out of scope of clients' projects. It's like she's got a sixth sense for scope. I was always met with the question from her, did you charge for that? And to which I would always say no. Having a scope of work is just a clear definition of what your project is going to entail. It gives you a leg to stand on when there's negotiations, contract negotiations, disputes, anything that might be related to what the actual deliverables of the project are. This is where you need a scope of work. Now, fundamentally, I'm a people pleaser. I want to help people build their businesses. I enjoy helping people build their businesses. And I love building my business too. And at times, this doesn't feel like work to me because I enjoy it that much. I just forget what I'm doing and I feel like I'm just building, like Lego. I sometimes forget that a complex integration that someone wants built is going to take me 10 hours of time to build. And it may actually save them hundreds of hours a year. And I should probably be paid for that. In the spirit of fun, I still make this mistake, but I'm getting better at managing it and stopping it from happening in the first place. So the way I'm doing that is when I onboard my clients, my onboarding is a lot more rigorous than it used to be. I ask a lot more questions, which allows me to define the scope before I even start the project. This also, a little tidbit, it does allow you to show your deliverables a little bit as well when it comes to the pricing conversation. So you can have like a rate card of what you do and people see that and they can cross things off, they can add things. It allows you to just negotiate a bit better too. A lot of these experiences cost me a lot of stress and a lot of heartache, but I probably wouldn't trade it for the world because these are lessons that I 100% needed to learn to improve as a business owner. I've had to overcome a lot of bullshit self-talk to actually move forward through these, but the only way I could continue to move forward through them was by actually approaching them head on. So if you're experiencing something like this, or you know you're prone to similar traits, you should walk these problems 100% head on, because if not, it's just going to create more problems for you in the future, which seems to be one of the biggest lessons in business, is that you should always just approach your problems head on and don't try and sweep them under the rug. Because if you make a mistake, you can address it and then you can get back to money making activities. just like I did. If you're looking to join my community, I've opened it back up again. It's now through GHL, but the Notion course is in there. So if you're looking for that, go through. If you are looking for someone to help you with automation in your business, if you need to build sales systems, if you're a fitness coach and you want to build some sales systems, I'm working with anyone right now. Again, I specialize in fitness, but if there's anything you want to look at automating in your business or you want an audit done, feel free to reach out via the links below. But I will speak to you soon. Bye.